Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Me and my old lady, we's fixing to move. Now that we're old, we figured it's time to downsize, get away from Chicago and move someplace warm. Saturday morning, she said something about conquer and divide. Well, it turns out that means I do the hot and hard work while she does easy because she sends me out to our garage while she goes upstairs to toss out useless things. Pretty early when I got started, and I'd been working most part of the morning, tossing out car parts and such, straining my back and my biceps while she sits working inside the AC like a lump. Right around in the morning, figured I'd earn me a beer, so I step into her kitchen, and what I hear is her laughing. Now, I ain't no type to hit no woman, and I sure as hell won't hit my wife, but I'm going to tell you, boy, howdy, I done run up them stairs full of strife. I run to her second room, and I see her. She's sitting in the middle of a circle. All around there's papers left and right, and right close is an old cardboard box. Dog-eared like it's King and Hard Knocks. I got to tell you, I'm mighty steamed. She ain't laughing now, but she was up here hooting and hollering, having a good old time while I'm working like a dog. I take a deep breath to calm down before I say anything, but even so, my voice comes out loud and me and I ask, what in tarnation you doing? I'm down in the garage just sweating and you're up here reading magazines? He knows I'm hot and bothered, but she just looks at me all mournful and shakes her head. She's shaking her head while she holds a newspaper up towards me and waves it. Wait, she hollers, gasping for air. She cries, here. She yells, waving that newspaper at me. I take a deep breath, roll my eyes, throw my hand out at her, and grab the newspaper that she's holding up for me. It's the Bethel Park Bugle, she says. Bottom of the page. Remember when Robert Allans got arrested? It's from the trial. Bobby Allans, I asked, giving her a furrowed brow look of WTF. You mean from like what, 50 years ago? Why, that boy was the biggest dipshit at Bethel Park High. Well, we sure agree on that, but this here might give you a clue why. You remember him being arrested, right? Of course I do, I say with a laugh. Sophomore year, he tried to split his daddy's skull, as I recall. Yep, my darling says, soft and mournful, so she sounds like one of them annoying little yip dogs. According to this here in paper, they got in a real fight, not just a normal hollering match or such. They was going at it. You know why? She asked, raising the pitch of her voice mighty high on why. Shit, if I ever knew, I don't remember. If I was guessing, I'd say either Bobby stole his daddy's beer or his daddy's name is Todd, she said softly. His name is in the article. Sure, I say with her. Anyway, either Bobby stole Todd's beer or Todd stole Bobby's dad. Am I close? Not even the right continent, she said softly, shaking her head. I feel real bad about laughing. If I'd known, I wouldn't have laughed because it's sad and sick or sick and sad, depending on how you look at it. I'm going to let you read it, but the gist is that Daddy Allans came home and found his boy Bobby out in their tool shed along with his big sister Tulsi. You remember her at all? I said, shaking my head. How much older? Must be 12 years because Bobby was 14 and Tulsi was 26. That's a big spread, I said, meaning the age difference. That's what she said, my wife said, grinning and shaking her head. I'm sorry, this is so upsetting that I need a little humor to get through. I agree that Bobby was one hell of a big asshole, but, well, anyway, read it. So I started to read. First, I was a little titillated, aroused, but then as I read, I had to sit down. I'd never read anything so disgusting, so evil, so twisted. When the trial first started, things were looking bad for Bobby and Tulsi, especially Bobby. Sibling incest is terrible, and Bobby admitted it was him who'd started it. He'd gone looking for Tulsi out in their tool shed, and when he'd found her, he'd grabbed her from behind and started pushing his hard dick up against his sister's ass. Both Bobby and Tulsi testified that at first she told him to stop and that he hadn't. He just continued with what the newspaper called frotage. Bobby said he'd persisted, and after a little while, Tulsi had told him to take his clothes off and they'd do it right, thus making the charges against him equal and not rape. Bobby was thrusting away in a fit of ecstasy when Daddy Todd walks in and sees his daughter and son engaged in carnal activity. During testimony, Todd admitted that he had struck Bobby on his right ear hard with an open-hand strike, which he knew would produce agonizing pain for his son. What Todd hadn't expected was for Bobby to turn towards and on him and attack him with great violence so extreme that Tulsi had testified she feared Bobby might kill their father. Despite both Todd fighting to get Bobby off of him and Tulsi working to pull Bobby off their father, Bobby persisted in his attack. Every opportunity Todd had, he tried desperately to flee but could not get away from Bobby. Fearing for his life, Todd yelled, "Damn it! She's your sister! Your sister!" Todd's sincere declaration concerning his sister's paternity did not slow Bobby down. However, a desperate and frantic Todd yelled, "She's your mother! She's your mother and your sister did!" Bobby froze, looked at his father, looked at his sister, mother, and collapsed. But that wasn't the end of the attack. Tulsi screamed, "You bastard! You piece of shit! You said you'd never tell anyone!" And she took up where Bobby had left off, while Bobby took Tulsi's place as her father's protector. Bobby managed to subdue his sister and pull her off their father, yelling, "He's not worth it! He's not worth it!" until she stopped struggling. He then turned towards Todd and said, "You got 10 seconds before we kill you. You'd best run." The testimony of all three plus DNA tests got Todd a 20-year sentence, Bobby a sentence of probation plus mandatory counseling, while Tulsi was acquitted of all charges. I knew Bobby had missed the second semester of school sophomore year, and now I knew why. So Bobby was in a mental institution. That's why he didn't graduate with us. That's why it took him 5 years instead of 4. Looks like, my wife said, but he did graduate. Yeah, I said, nodding my head. Yes, he did. Damn, I could have gone my whole life without knowing this. This is terrible. Kind of gives credence to that old saying about knowing all is to forgive all, don't it? She asked. Well, I said, squinting my left eye shut as I looked at her. I don't know about all, but it sure gives me a whole new perspective.